Hark, it's an 87th Precinct bonus episode. This is the bonus episode for the book Bread, the 29th of the 87th Precinct novels from 1974, which we rated fairly highly. And we've got our usual roundup of editions and covers and designs, our own books, and also a look at the contextual stuff from 1974 and fantasy casting for Detective Meyer Meyer. And so we're going to open with a look at the original publication designs. And I can actually illustrate some of these in slightly better format than I have been able to in the past. Because for some reason, I say for some reason, the reason is I spent some money and bought them. I have not only my own copy, which is not the original pan paperback. Perhaps you'd like to tell the listening public what the original UK pan paperback looked like.
Oh, right. Well, there's a wooden rabbit that's been set on fire.
Yeah.
My lord. But I'm liking that one at the top left. It's a money sandwich. Wow.
And indeed,
here we go.
I have in my hand
a money sandwich that's on fire. Although it looks like somebody slammed down on the top and loads of tomato ketchup or bean juice has blasted out the back.
McBain, flaming money sandwich.
Yeah.
Flaming money
Bloody
sandwich.
hell, you'd buy that and think, what on earth is this about?
Yeah, it is somehow one of the worst covers there's ever been.
Oh, I think one of the best.
Well, it's gone round the circle of good and started to come out bad, hasn't it? I hold in my hands, dear listeners, a first edition hardback copy from America, from the Random House, of Bread, which I bought when I was in America in the Strand bookshop in New York. And not only that, it being a first edition, it is a signed first edition.
Amazing.
So I have Ed McBain's autograph on the inside of this.
The book
And so we
sandwich.
can, in the book Flaming Money Sandwich. And it is it was my treat to myself of a McBain souvenir from New York when I was over there last year. So I've got that so you can see the Flaming Money Sandwich in all its glory. And on the back of it, you can see the author photograph, which is quite odd.
He's peering through I don't know, what on earth's going on there? A wall with some holes in it?
Yeah.
My brain can't compute what's going on now.
Well, there was a tendency for the author photographs for a long time to be deliberately obscured because they were hiding the identity of Ed McBain. But this is years after everyone knew who he was, but they kept it up for quite a while on certain ones. So
bizarre.
Again, the author photograph here is him peering through something, or it's been deliberately obscured.
Looks like he's hiding behind some kind of modern sculpture or something to me, but it's a bit peculiar.
But it's also his face.
It is.
So that's very odd. I'll put a photo of that up on our Instagram. The British hardback edition, I also have a version of.
That's like a money building with an arm sticking out one of the windows.
Indeed, yes.
A building that's facade is dollar bills.
The author photograph on that one, a bit more... A bit more normal.
It looks very reflective.
He looks quite moody, quite pensive.
Yeah.
All wrapped up in a sheepskin coat.
Winter coat.
Yeah.
With some good sideburns.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a 1970s football manager code going on, which is great. Pacing the dugout after a nasty 3-0 drubbing.
Yeah.
So
these are good. So I like that one. And then what's this one? The top right.
So the top right you've got there is the Signet edition, which is the original US paperback, which again,
is a man peering through a burnt wall with a gun.
Yeah, so that's the literal scene from the book painting, as it has been for years.
Yeah.
Years and years and years and years.
Well, those are good. Yeah.
Whereas our own editions that we've got, other than my special hardbacks that I've got,
they're a bit.
Well, me and you, Steve, we've got
naff, aren't they?
We've got our pan editions, but ours are the gold band ones with a dollar bill or $100 bill rather on fire on the front of it.
Yeah,
it's a bit. It's all right. I think it's better than the sandwich actually taking the notion of bread and putting the money inside a sandwich.
Oh, well, prefers my favourite, that one. Yours has got a picture of a firefighter on one.
It has.
A new book.
It looks like it's going to be some kind of fire brigade novel, which it most assuredly is not, obviously. But
so this is the first time we've seen in the flesh a Thomas and Mercer new edition of an 87th Precinct novel. So this is the contemporary version
absolutely
that you get if you buy now, and it's sort of orangey.
It is. It's definitely orangey.
Colour of fire.
It looks a bit like a textbook, as has been pointed out.
Which kind of textbook sized, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's an unorthodox dimensions, I would say.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's more.
It's not as much fun as having a.
Yeah,
but it could be worse.
Has no picture of the author in.
How does it huff for a new book? May I do the huffing?
Let's get that out of the way.
Ooh,
quite
smells
fresh.
Smell that. Ooh, my smells all right.
Smell.
Yours smells a bit strange. They're all a bit strange. They're equally weird.
I'm not letting you huff my nice hardback copies. For your own safety.
Imagine that one smelt of a sandwich.
Yeah, that would be strange. So there you go. I'll put pictures up as usual on the Instagram feed and other places. And let's get into a bit more about 1974. Ooh. Do you want to have a guess at the top 10 UK albums of 1974?
Wow.
I don't know. Was Dark Side of the Moon still selling well, or has that gone now?
It was, yeah. It was number 5.
What about?
Have we still got any Bowie up there?
Let's have a little look. We have.
Diamond Dogs?
Diamond Dogs, number 6.
Splendid.
Any Roxy Music, maybe?
No.
Perhaps they didn't sell in enough quantity quite then.
Have we still got sort of Slade or anyone kicking about, or maybe not so much albums-wise?
No, nothing. No one particularly like that in the albums chart at all. We've talked about a couple of these before. So Simon and Garfunkel's Greatest Hits is still in the top 10.
There. Amazing.
At number 9. And we mentioned last time Elton John.
Oh yeah.
He's in there twice with his Greatest Hits and Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Still there.
Oh, think of our friend Julian.
Tubular Bells.
Tubular Bells, Mike Oldfield. That's a special reference between us here for our friend Julian, who loves Mike Oldfield.
He certainly does.
Wow, yeah. Where was that?
Number 3.
What was number 1 then?
It was The Carpenters, the singles, 1969 to 73.
Crikey.
It's a best of.
Awful.
They've got some good moments.
Yeah. Well, they were selling well then.
They certainly were.
Number 2 is Band on the Run by Paul McCartney and Wings, which is a brilliant album.
It's a corker.
Absolutely brilliant album. We've not talked about 2 of them. One is 40 Greatest Hits by Elvis Presley. So that must have been one of the first big repackaging of a lot of his stuff. So 40, that must be a sizable set.
Yeah. I wonder if that's the one with the him in the gold lame suit on the front.
Oh, it might be. Yeah, it might be. I have no pictures to hand. And also, And I Love You So by Perry Como was in the chart at number 8.
He's doing well, Perry Como. I'm sure he cropped up in another chart recently.
Having his time.
Renaissance.
Amazing. Yeah, I know when there was an oil crisis, wasn't there, which contributed to difficulty with pressing records, and there was definitely a spike in greatest hits albums then. I don't know if we were up to that yet.
Possibly.
I know at some point in the 70s that occurred because a lot of record companies were less willing to take a chance on new products and just wanted to knock out things they knew were going to definitely sell. So you get a lot of greatest hits albums.
Yeah, and as we saw, there was a lot of stuff coming in through these TV marketing companies like KTEL and things like that was starting to happen.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, yeah, the oil crisis was 74, I think.
Yeah, well, that seems like it could have had an impact. That's a very interesting bit of socio-economic influence on creative output.
So that might have just made that up. It sounds like something that
so how did the policy of OPEC relate to the career of Perry Como?
It's clearly
Perry Como album sales and oil price probably correlate exactly.
There we go.
It's a pleasing thought.
I'll just talk a little bit about some TV shows as well before we do a little bit more about films. Things that began in 1974, some things, not all things, was Bagpuss.
Bagpuss, yeah. I bet it started and ended.
It did start and end in 1974 because it was only 13 episodes. It's a children's TV show made with puppets of a saggy old cloth cat who lived in a sort of shop that a little girl brought lost things into, and they come to life when Bagpuss wakes up, and it's beautiful. It's one of the nicest things ever made, and I loved it as a kid. It was repeated over and over again, and it's still, I think, thought of as one of the best kids' TV programs ever made in the UK. But we also have The Rockford Files, of which I have never seen a single episode.
Are you kidding?
I'm not kidding.
I've never seen it.
Amazing.
It's got a bit of a cracking theme tune, I seem to recall, but I can't remember the... I don't think I've ever seen the show.
Sounded like Quincy for a bit. But yeah, I don't know how I've never seen The Rockford Files, but I just,
It's really good.
I just watched Quincy and Columbo over and over again.
Jim Rockford, wasn't he best mate? Was it his dad or was his father-in-law? It was like another character in it.
I don't know.
I couldn't tell you.
Other things that started, the Planet of the Apes TV series, which featured Ron Harper, who played Kling in the 87th Precinct TV series. He plays one of the astronauts in Planet of the Apes, the TV series.
Never seen the TV series.
Yeah,
I bet it's great.
It's kind of like just a bit of a lower budget version of the film. Because of course, it's sometimes you think, oh, which film's this? And then you're like, oh no. So like they'll have battles, but there's hardly anybody there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because there's like not that many.
I think it sort of died a death because ultimately all they could do every week was someone was captured and someone rescued them, and they ran out of combinations of people to capture and rescue each other after so long.
It's not very good, really.
Yeah. Happy Days starts.
Excellent.
Which obviously went on for a long, long time and made everyone confused about what was actually happening in America if you didn't live there and you saw Happy Days and you didn't really know it was supposed to be the 1950s, but it was from the 1970s. And Little House on the Prairie, another one that was repeated ad nauseum.
That's a total yawn fest, that, isn't it? If you ever caught that on telly back in the day. It's like the Waltons, just like, stop.
We're going to get letters to start with this dismissal of these portrayals of American country
pioneer life. It's like, yeah.
It turns out nothing happened.
Well, you used to have to sit through the Waltons waiting for the wrestling to come on, didn't you? On a Saturday.
Worth it. Totally worth it.
And in the UK, the programme Wish You Were Here started.
Oh, right.
Which is where people get on holiday and said, here's a place you can go on holiday.
And she was called Judith Chalmers,
Things that ended in 1974, Monty Python's Flying Circus had its last series on TV, which is actually called Monty Python, not Flying Circus, that one. The Brady Bunch ended, the Partridge Family ended, so all that stuff ended. Clearly that stuff went out of fashion. And as we said before, Bagpuss ended. But like top grossing films in America, 1974, any guesses? And I will say, Disaster.
Are we in Irwin Allen territory here?
Just a little bit.
What is that? The Poseidon Adventure, or
not at this point?
The Towering Inferno.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest films of that year.
Fantastic.
And there's two more big disaster movies in the chart.
Oh wow!
I do quite like a disaster movie. What mode of disaster? Give us a clue. So like.
Well, if I tell you what mode of disaster it is, after I've told you the title.
Go on then. Yeah.
Airport
1975 is one of them. Which I've still never seen that one.
Which was released in 1974.
Yeah,
that's very confusing.
What could happen to an airport in the very near future?
Yeah, and the other one which I watched not so long ago, which involves
bees.
Another.
Oh no, swarm.
No, it involves. I think it involves architecture again.
Architecture. Oh, Towering Inferno.
Well, we had Towering Inferno, but it also involves the Earth being
earthquaking.
Very earthquaking.
Is it called Earthquake?
It is, yes.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
It's not bad actually. It's all right.
I bet it involves lots of experts predicting an earthquake and some really tight-fisted developers building a building that's shouldn't have been built. Is that
city planners refusing to heed warnings, that sort of thing?
That kind
of which one of them is played by the guy from Quincy's boss, Dr. Astin.
Oh, yeah, he'd be great at that. Yeah.
He's in charge of a dam.
Oh,
He has to
so it's a
decide-
dam.
Well, there's a dam involved.
Wonderfully typecast as a petty bureaucrat.
Yeah, indeed. There's two...
Well, Chinatown's 1974. I've just remembered that.
It is, but it wasn't in the top grossing films at the time. But you are right.
Perhaps it came out later on. I don't know. Who knows?
There's two very good Mel Brooks comedies.
Ooh, Young Frankenstein.
Young Frankenstein
Blazing
Saddles, yeah. Then there's...
2 films in a year.
Busy.
But let's go. So we've had Blazing Saddles, we had Towering Inferno. There's The Trial of Billy Jack.
Ooh,
Never heard of it.
no, me either.
Young Frankenstein. Earthquake. Godfather Part 2.
Oh,
Yep.
Of course, yeah.
Airport 75. The Life and Times of Grizzly Adams, which I think might be a Disney live-action
Oh,
one,
possibly. Sounds like the kind of thing they would have got involved in.
I might be totally wrong. It might be some hardcore
wasn't-
porn for all I know.
Wasn't 1974 the year they released One of Our Dinosaurs is Missing? Now, that wouldn't get anywhere near the top 10, but
Well,
it should.
yeah,
That could have been around then.
it might have been, but I haven't got it on my list.
It's mid-70s Derek Nimmo, I'm sure.
Mid-70s Derek Nimmo.
Classic era of Derek Nimmo.
I think I found the title for this episode. The Longest Yard and Benji.
Oh, The Longest Yard, the Boyd Reynolds, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it releases the Mean Machine in this country, I think.
No, that's good info. I haven't got that down, but I take your word
It's
for it.
what it used to be called when I was watching it on my little black and white TV in my bedroom when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
One of Our Dinosaurs Missing is 1975.
Oh, well, we'll
So
save
you
our
can't
comments
say
on that till the next episode,
It couldn't have been more mid-70s Derek Nimmo.
if you tried. Okay. What about Hammer Film Productions? We know we're running towards the end of Hammer's glory days, don't we?
74, would that be... Are we at Satanic Rites of Dracula, or was
We've
that...
basically got the final films in both the Frankenstein and the Dracula film series.
Well, Satanic Rites of Dracula was the last Dracula.
Well, it wasn't. It was The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires.
Oh, that's not part of the Dracula canon,
Oh.
I think you'll
We
find.
already had Dracula dying in a bush last episode, didn't we?
Yeah.
So, Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires,
Yeah,
indeed.
I don't think that's part of the
Oh, right, okay.
official... Not in
I'm
my...
not accepting that
reckoning.
as canon.
It might have a Dracula-type character in. Christopher Lee's not in it, for starters.
Yeah.
And I think that might have a Dracula kind of character, but whether he was actually called Dracula or not in it.
Yeah.
But that's quite a good film. That's cashing in on the martial
Yeah,
arts.
I'm going to say.
Yeah, the martial arts. Boom.
What's the last Frankenstein movie then? I'm trying to think.
Well, I watched one this week. Horror of Frankenstein. It was on Talking Pictures.
Oh,
one with
yes.
Ralph Bates.
Oh, I like Horror of
yeah.
Frankenstein. It's
Yeah.
weird, that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
but that's not the one we're talking about here.
Ah,
That we're talking about Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
There's also Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter.
Oh, I've seen... That's a really odd film, that.
It sounds weird.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Sounds kind of fun.
There's the the movie adaptation of Man About the House,
Oh,
a
God.
sitcom that I have no interest in.
Oh, no, it's Seven of Grandfather. Yeah, the character's name is Count Dracula. But,
There we go.
but
Justified.
Well, it doesn't have Christopher Lee in it.
And the film called Shatter, with the tagline, "They call him Mr. Shatter," I think. So
What does he do other than go... No.
pushes ornaments off shelves, I think.
No, I thought he went around going to the toilet in inappropriate places.
Not quite, no. Other notable films from that year: Chinatown, as you mentioned, Emmanuel,
Crikey.
Manuel, crikey.
Herbie Rides Again.
Oh,
So
Excellent.
Herbie Witchfinder General out again.
oh yeah. Remember Herbie Witchfinder General?
Yeah.
That was such a good film, wasn't it?
Dark Star, which is
I'd forgotten about that. I can't remember what happened in it. Does Herbie drive around Civil War East Anglia?
yeah, basically that's
Or
what we were.
hunting out witches?
That was pretty much the gist
Yeah.
of it, yeah.
Well, David Tomlin plays. Oh god. Anyway, I made that mock poster for it anyway, so you can find that on Herbie.
The trouble is, though, it'd run out of petrol, wouldn't it?
Well, there might be.
It'd have a full tank, so it might get as far as, like, Thetford. And then that would be the end.
Oh, this is the specificity is what makes it funny.
And on those roads in those days, yeah.
I urge anyone who doesn't know of the geography and layout of the UK, so particularly our American listeners, to get onto Google Maps and have a look at Norfolk. And just imagine Herbie going around burning witches. The film Dark Star I mentioned before, that was the sort of comedy sci-fi weird sort of space truckers hippies film that was a precursor essentially to Alien, because it was Dan O'Bannon who wrote it and who became the scriptwriter for Alien not long after. So it's quite important in that sense. Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
Oh.
Good dual response there. Which Bond film?
That would have been 74, I think, is Live and Let Die.
No.
I'm going to say The Spy Who Loved Me.
No, The Man with the Golden Gun.
Oh, of course it was, because that was the year that Alice Cooper did a theme song for it, which was rejected.
Oh, did it?
Which is instead on the Muscle of Love album, which is the last album by the original Alice Cooper group. It's a corker. It's a lot better than the Lulu one.
Oh,
Don't let anyone tell you any different.
I'll have to find that and put a link
What's
up
it
to
called?
The Man with the Golden Gun.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's really good.
Wow, I never knew that.
It's a beast.
No. Good info, that. Death Wish comes out that year. And one Carry On film. The last Carry On film to feature Sid James and Hattie Jakes. So you know they're on the way out.
Carry on losing your head. I don't know.
No, it wasn't Carry On, Don't Lose Your Head. But it's one with one of the shorter and more rubbish names.
Carry On Clowns.
Carry On Clowns. They never did that. It's about a highwayman.
Oh,
Carry On Turpin.
No, do the other
Carry
side.
On Dick.
Carry On Dick,
Of course.
All right, yeah.
So
Carry On Turpin.
Carry On Turnip. Right.
Yeah.
There we go. I think we've covered everything that happened in 1974 there in terms of
all of it, really.
creativity and things. Let's get into the fantasy casting of Meyer
yes.
Meyer. And he is someone who's obviously been on screen a few times in different productions based on 87th Precinct stories.
I've failed to come up with anybody because I forgot about it.
That's all right.
So I'll be honest up
Well,
front.
let me run through who has played him in the past. Martin Rudy was the first person to play him on screen in two TV episodes by Kraft Mystery Theatre.
Oh, yeah.
Let's have a look at him.
So he is this chap here.
Looks
I couldn't
like
find a very
It
good
looked like he's saying something very important there.
It does, rather.
Then we come to Norman Fell, who played him in all 30 episodes of the 87th Precinct TV series for NBC, who is very, very good.
He's
We
very
do
good.
like him,
I like it a
but
lot.
not bald.
No.
We have Dusan Blashkovich, who was in the 3 of Czech adaptations in the 70s.
Good old Blaskovich.
We have Jack Weston in Fuzz, who plays him very much as a sort of harassed guy, which is not... The characterisation's totally wrong.
Yeah, he's
Amongst other things
his
wrong in Fuzz.
infinite patience would not allow him to get that harassed, one would
Exactly.
think.
We have Milos Kopecki in Panenka, another Czech adaptation in 1980. We have Tanaka Kuni in the 87th Precinct Naked City series, which was the first Japanese series.
Nice.
We have a man whose name is too far away for me to read. Vitislav Jandak, who was in another one of the Czech ones. We have Kizu Okani in My Town, the next Japanese one. We have Ron Perkins in Lightning. We have Joe I can't say his name. Pantoliano in Ice in 1996, and Paul Van Victor in Heatwave.
Okay.
So it's quite a range of folk there. Some hairy, some not hairy.
Yeah.
There's no bald people there. Well, one person
Yeah, I think.
who's not bald in real life.
Yeah.
But that's acting for you.
Acting is mainly being bald
Bald, yes.
when you're not naturally
Are
bald.
you?
So I think I didn't get a massive take-up of response on this, and I thought I would, but I think it's quite a challenge, which is why
It is
I
a
think
tricky
you and I,
one.
Steve, have
Well,
totally stumped with this.
Yeah.
But we have had some not obvious, some really nice thoughts, as well as some fairly obvious ones that I think I probably would have rejected out of hand for being a bit too obvious. But sometimes the obvious
Wow.
is, and the reason for them being obvious is because people tend to think, well, the character's bald, we'd like him to be bald, so I'm going to think of an actor
Ross Kemp.
who generally
That's
Ross Kemp.
who you're going to think of.
An actor who is known for playing hairless folk,
Yep.
such as Ben Kingsley,
Mm-hmm.
which was suggested.
What about Donald Pleasance?
Well,
Well, he famously played a bald man.
well, you could be your suggestion.
I'm just thinking, yeah. I think it should be Donald Pleasence. No.
Well, yeah, so our friend Guillaume, I don't know, I write these things down, I don't practice saying them out loud first. Guillaume or Guillaume Bergeron. Sorry, tell me how to pronounce it, I'll say it right if I'm sorry. Suggested Ben Kingsley. And, Ben Kingsley's very good. Our friend Kevin Mahoney had a couple of suggestions. One was actually the guy who's not an actor, but the writer and producer of The Wire, which is David Simon, who looks like that. It looks quite a lot like you'd imagine. So if he wanted to stretch his acting muscles, perhaps he could step in. Stanley Tucci, Once Upon a Time.
Oh, yeah.
And our friend and new listener, Mark Cowell.
Oh, right, okay.
Suggested Warren Mitchell, who obviously we tend to in this country think of for his comic roles, but he was a very, very good actor in a lot of serious roles on stage. And he would, once upon a time, it would have been brilliant to see him go across the pond and take up the role of Meyer Meyer. So I think that's an excellent suggestion, Mark. Thank you very much.
Like this guy.
Herb Edelman.
He looks like the cricketer Derek Randall a bit.
No. Well, this was suggested by Kim Wiley. Herb Edelman, who was in quite a few comedies and things. I think he was in a featured character in Golden Girls, possibly. We have a suggestion from Sam Viber. There's another name I should have practiced first. Of Anthony Carrigan, who I know as Victor Zsasz in the Gotham series, who actually has alopecia, so he's completely hairless. He's almost exactly the right age for him, funnily enough.
Yeah.
Although he looks quite young.
I mean, that's I think something that was catching me out, because I tend to, for some reason, think of Meyer as being older than he actually is.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that's probably a really good call, actually, because he does need to be. He's not an old man at all.
No, he's not. He's just a family man. So who, by the age of 37, is completely bald with 2 kids and a wife, and
But yeah, I'm with you there. I always think he's older.
And we had another suggestion from Kim Wiley of Evan Handler, who's this chap here, who looks very good as well.
Well, I've seen him in something.
Yeah, it's been quite a lot of stuff.
Sure
So there's some very, very good suggestions there, but you and I, Steve-O, have failed miserably here, because I just got stumped. Because I was thinking about the sort of his droll sort of nature and trying to think, who do I know that could get that across?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty stumped as well, but I was just trying to describe the character to Steph, and she suggested he's probably too old now, actually, to play him as well.
This is the fantasy magic of our thing.
Jon Favreau.
Oh yeah, Jon Favreau.
Who I think, with a bit of adjustment to removal of hair, like a Jon Favreau maybe like 10 years ago, I think would actually be. I think he could be really good.
I think he could.
Who's that?
So he will be best known to most people now as playing a big part in the Marvel cinematic universe as Iron Man's assistant Happy.
Yeah.
And he produces and writes quite a lot of stuff.
He does. He directed the Iron Man films, or at least a couple of them, and also starred in Chef, which was really good. I don't know if you've seen that. Yet, that's a really good movie. But I think he's got that kind of sort of. He could really handle that sort of patient, world-weary kind of feeling that you get from Meyer sometimes. And I think also the humour as well.
Yeah, he's a good line in quips and sarcasm as well as in a lot of the roles that he's in. That's a good call. Well done, Steph. So we need to
we
need to declare a winner, really.
Well,
out of these,
we need to boil them down to a couple, do we not?
I mean, I'm a big fan of Mark's suggestion of Warren Mitchell. I think he'd be brilliant.
Yeah, well, especially in that photograph.
Our world of this thing is a fantasy casting, so we can take people from any era and transport them here now. But then if you were making it now, as we've almost kept an eye on to some extent, Anthony Carrigan, I think, would be great.
Yeah, I could actually see that, because, that's kind of actually the age range we'd want to be looking at, as you say. Yeah. And
say we get into production now, might take a couple of years. It'd be about 38 then.
Perfect.
Characters 37 permanently.
Absolutely great. Yeah.
Well, I'll go with whatever you recommend.
Okay.
I like that. I think Warren Mitchell for the anytime casting, I think is
Warren
really
Mitchell
excellent.
In a big screen version.
Oh yeah.
They should have had him in Fuzz and stuck to Evan Hunter's script rather than mess it around like they did with the rubbish that it produced. Yeah, so Warren Mitchell for the big screen version of one of the stories, but I think I would throw my weight behind Sam's suggestion of Anthony Carrigan.
Yep. So when we go into production with this, as you say, we'll make sure that that the producers take note and call him first. That's great.
Excellent stuff. Well, that's good, isn't it?
It is. Terrific.
So who are we going to cast next?
Oh, I don't know.
Are we going to go outside the squad again for
variety?
Well, maybe. But where would I know where we can go?
Ooh.
To someone with a very definite and prescribed look in the books. And we haven't had him in a couple of books for a little while, but I would go for Forensic Police Lieutenant Sam Grossman.
Oh, I like it.
So I think that's who we're going to cast next.
Okay.
So I'll do what I do, which is share the initial description of him as he's portrayed in the McBain books. But it's very specific description. Out of all of the characters, he's one that has a very specific repeating description. Yeah. So let's see whether that triggers specific suggestions or people go off book. Lieutenant Sam Grossman, he's your next challenge. Excellent stuff. Well, we'll join you again soon for the next book in the series, which I didn't mention on the main podcast, is Blood Relatives.
Dun, dun, dun.
Which is a laugh a minute as far as these things go. All right, and in the meantime, I'm going to sign off and let the others do the same. So, ta-ra.
Goodbye.
And fare thee well.